Hi, my name is Earl Counter. My badge is Earl. It was pretty easy to figure out. Most guys pick a nickname or some kind of acronym, but by the time I got down here, there was a lot of badges taken, and there wasn't a whole lot of competition for the badge Earl, so I grabbed it. How did I get the job? My best friend from college is actually an attorney now, works downtown. He's a partner at a law firm. His brother and his brother's roommate, who we used to hang out with, actually both worked down at the Board of Trade. And I was pretty unhappy of what I was doing. Before I started down here, I was a mortgage broker, and didn't really know what to do with that. And he said, you ought to come down and check out the floor. And this kind of goes in with the next question, I suppose, my first impression of the trading floor. So how I got started is I came down, he said, come visit the floor. I think you'd be a shoo-in for this. And he was at the Board of Trade at the time. This back, obviously, when we were separated. And this was in '96, if I didn't say that. And I came down in the first pit I ever saw where I was on the floor. He came out and walked me in, and it was a pretty busy day, and it was the bond pit, and it was insane. And I just thought, this is amazing. This is unreal. It was overwhelming, but at the same time I said, this is absolutely the place I need to be. It wasn't one, it was, I felt I needed to be here. And what had happened is I came in and I met his partner and I talked to a few guys, and this was the summer. It was the summer of '96, and by that time I was a little late. They had already hired their summer help, and we talked to a few guys, and he said, no, we have nothing for you, we have nothing for you. And my buddy's brother said, hang out, go get a bite to eat and come back, and we'll call the guys over at the Merc. He said, maybe they got something for you. So he put a call over there and he said, hey, is at that time you needed an in. You needed an uncle, a brother, a cousin, you needed a family, you needed somebody reputable to vouch for you. And he said, I got this guy. He's my little brother's best friend. I've known him for a long time. I think he'd be a fit for this. Do you guys have anything over there? And the guys at the Merc said, no, man, we don't have anything. And he said, seriously, he's a good guy. He's decent with numbers. He's pretty sharp. He's really willing to do anything. He'll start wherever. He'll do whatever, anything. And they said, no, it's late. We got our summer help. We don't need anything at all. He said, he's 6'8". They said, send him over. So that was my big in. I was tall enough to be there to be able to stand in the Eurodollar pit, and that's where I got hired. Eurodollar pit at the CME. My most memorable moment, kind of two things. One is obvious. September 11th, 9/11. I remember coming up in the elevator and somebody said there was a plane crash in New York. And at that time it wasn't clear that it had hit the tower. And I just thought, wow, where did it hit? Somebody said it crashed into the city. And by the time I came up in the elevator from the parking garage, we realized, it had hit the World Trade Center. And we were standing on the floor. I was with a group of guys, and the second plane hit the tower. And at that moment, there was kind of pandemonium, and nobody really knew what to do. And there was a question of, were we going to open? Were we not going to open? What was going to happen? It was a human reaction to it. Business had to be done, but people were literally saying, what do we do? What's the right thing to do? What's going on? People didn't know. And there was still a lot of commotion, a lot of people on the floor, and I'd never seen the pit not open on time and not be there and not be busy. And then something really serious happened, if it could even be said more serious than the first two things, and that was the plane hit the Pentagon. And once the plane hit the Pentagon, the floor just scattered. People just emptied out. People didn't want to be here. It didn't look safe. They had to get out. That's one. The second most memorable moment, if I can say, was years later, in 2005, after my first daughter was born. And I took some time off. I'd spent some time with my wife and my new daughter, and then I came back to work. And my wife, who very rarely called me at work and bothered me during trading hours, called up, and I got the cell phone. I thought, oh my gosh, something's probably wrong with the baby. And she just called to say that they were fine and that everything was good. And I just had this amazing moment. There was just pandemonium going on in the pit, and I just stopped to realize this is my wife and my daughter, and I have a family. And I just felt like an adult. I felt like this place has given me the opportunity to have my own business and bring up a family and take care of people. And it was just surreal. That time just kind of stopped for a second. And it was really incredible. And actually that was more memorable to me than September 11th. This is a very positive thing. Very positive thing. The most important thing a trader needs on the trading floor as a trader you know, we've talked about this before, Scott. You know, I race cars and I'm really into racing, and I look at some things. And in racing, it's all about being fast and going faster. And there's a funny thing that a lot of people, even racers, tend to not pay as much attention to, and that is the brakes on the car. And you can spend all this money and energy and time on trying to go faster and do better and get everything going. But you need to be able to slow down. You need to be able to stop. You need to be able to protect yourself. And in trading, I think you need to do the same thing. You need to have discipline. You need to know that you need to first and foremost protect yourself. The gentleman who started me out as trading in the business told me that, you know, any trader can make money, but a good trader keeps from losing money. You have to protect yourself first. You have to have the discipline to know when to stop. The funniest memory, this goes back to the Eurodollar pit. I just started out, I was a young kid, hadn't really seen much, got on the floor, and you go from panic, pandemonium, and energy to absolutely stillness, to nothing, to dead. And a lot of guys do some pretty silly stuff to keep themselves busy. And sometimes the whole pit gets involved in this silliness. So we're sitting in the Eurodollar pit this one day, and somehow we get on the conversation of somebody at a party saw somebody eat X amount of ho-hos in a certain amount of time. And everybody laughs about that. Oh, this many ho-hos, that amount of time. Gosh, that's really quite a lot. And this pretty heavy guy, let's just say he had an appetite. He was an eater. I won't name names because he actually works for the CME now, not a trader anymore. He says, well, I could do that. And right away, you know, you understand traders. You could do that? Well, you could eat 8 ho-hos in X amount of time. How many could you eat? And before I knew it, with the entire Eurodollar pit stopped from looking at the Eurodollars, and there wasn't anything to do anyway. And there was this huge market on how many ho-hos this guy was going to eat. Is he going to eat 7? Is he going to eat 10? And there were bets going on, and money was changing hands, and everybody was keeping track. Is he 10 bid, 11 bid, 15 bid? I'm at 20, you know, and there was this whole thing, you know. So finally the clerks, and I was a clerk at the time, so the clerks had to run out, and we had to get ho-hos, and there was this huge discussion, you know, can he have milk or can he not have milk? Does he have to eat them dry? And so they said, have a heart, let the guy have some milk, you know, and just on and on. I mean, this is during business hours, right? So finally, you know, everybody, and you couldn't have food on the floor, but even the security guards, I think, you know, everybody, oh yeah, no problem. You know, we snuck up so many ho-hos, and they're all there, and like, everything's set, and we're getting ready to go. And you're talking about, this is the Eurodollar pit. You're talking about, you know, what, 500-600 guys that are arguing back and forth to how many ho-hos, and when's he going to start? And they settle it out, and they start the ho-ho market, you know. And this kid starts, and he opens up, and he starts out like a Nathan's hot dog guy, you know. He opens up the ho-hos, whoa, 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 whoa. He's eating them, and before you know it, he sees 10 ho-hos, 15 ho-hos, 20 ho-hos, and then he slows down. You know, he's 21 ho-hos, and they're going down. He's struggling them in. 22 ho-hos, 23 ho-hos, and with every ho-ho he could get down, there's this great roar of all the guys that are long ho-hos. You know, oh, 23, and they're arming it back and forth and screaming and yelling, and the guy kind of teeters and stops, and that was it. I think the number finally was 23. So he staggers out of the pit, and I think, this is unreal. This is the most amazing thing I've ever seen. This whole market on ho-hos, you know? His business is supposed to be going on. And then the funniest thing I've ever seen happens. He gets out of the pit, and he stops, and he's squeezy, and all at once this crowd gathers around him. And they're there to help him, but yet people are standing back and watching. And all of a sudden, this poor kid just stops and boots. There comes 23 ho-hos flying out. And the biggest roar you've ever heard of your life goes up in the chair. And I said, what the hell was that? And it was the over-under for how long it was going to take before he threw the ho-hos up. That was the real market. It wasn't the total ho-hos. It was, how long was it going to take this poor kid to puke? So it gives you a little idea of what can happen on a slow day. So God help us. We stay busy. We stay busy. Favorite charity, you know, it's a really close community in whatever pit you've been in. I've had the luck of trading Eurodollar pits and currency pits. It's where I started. And then ultimately the S&P pit, which I've been in the longest. And, you know, people really genuinely care about other people, and they help each other out. And whether they're loaning somebody money or helping a clerk out or another trader or whatever, they still then help them out when they have tragic events. And there have been a few. This is a big collection of people. The Brittle Bone Foundation, Rory Deutsch, his foundation. Those were some of the charities I think that hit close to home. These were guys that I stood next to in the pit that I knew, and it felt very good to be doing well, and to be doing well enough to give back to the other people that definitely needed some help. So those would have been my favorite charities. Very happy to give to those, and very happy to help other people when they need it. That's all.